Millions of years ago, during the late Jurassic period, long before the mighty T-Rex walked the Earth, another kind of giant ruled the plains. Its name was Stegosaurus. It was one of nature's most unusual designs, a creature both powerful and peaceful, armored yet calm, slow but strong. Stegosaurus lived around 155 million years ago, in what is now North America, in regions filled with rivers, lush forests, and ferns that grew as tall as trees. The world was warm, humid, and full of life. Giant predators like Allosaurus hunted across the same lands. But Stegosaurus had its own way of surviving, not by speed or sharp teeth, but by defense. It was a plant eater, spending most of its time feeding on low-growing plants and bushes. Its small head and weak teeth were made for chewing soft vegetation, not for fighting. Yet its body told a different story, one of strength and endurance. Running down its back were 2 rows of large bony plates that made it one of the most recognizable dinosaurs ever. These plates weren't just for display. Some scientists believe they helped control body temperature by absorbing heat or releasing it when needed. Others think the plates made the animal look larger and more threatening to predators. And then, there was its tail, armed with 4 long spikes known as the thagomizer. One swing from that tail could shatter bones. It wasn't fast, but it didn't need to be. When danger came, Stegosaurus could stand its ground, turning its back toward predators and using that deadly tail like a weapon. Despite its armor, Stegosaurus was not built for constant battle. It relied more on awareness and group strength. Many believe it lived in small herds or family groups, moving together to feed and protect their young. In this world of giants, unity was often the best defense. Each sunrise brought both beauty and danger. Mist rolled across the Jurassic valleys, dew glistened on the massive plates of the Guardians, and distant roars echoed through the trees. Stegosaurus had learned to survive not by dominating, but by enduring, a lesson that would make it one of the most iconic defenders in history. The body of Stegosaurus was a masterpiece of natural engineering. Every part of it had a purpose, to help it survive in a world full of danger. From a distance, it looked almost unreal. A massive creature with a small head, a heavy body, and a back covered in plates that caught the sunlight like shields of metal. The plates themselves were not just decorations. Each one was made of bone, covered by a thin layer of skin and filled with blood vessels. Scientists believe these plates could change color when blood flowed through them, glowing red or orange in the sun. This might have helped Stegosaurus scare away predators or attract mates. Its brain, however, was surprisingly small, about the size of a walnut. For a creature weighing several tons, that seemed strange. But survival didn't depend on intelligence. It depended on instinct, awareness, and design. The brain was enough to control its massive body, sense movement, and respond to threats instantly. Its tail, the most famous weapon in prehistory, was deadly. The spikes, each nearly 1 meter long, were sharp and strong. When a predator got too close, Stegosaurus would swing its tail with full force, using the weight of its body to drive the spikes deep into its attacker. One well-aimed strike could seriously injure or even kill a predator like Allosaurus. The legs were also unique. The front ones were shorter than the back ones, giving the body a sloping shape. This posture helped it reach plants close to the ground, but also gave its tail more range of motion in a fight. The tail could swing fast, almost like a whip, and strike with brutal accuracy. But defense was not only about weapons. Stegosaurus had thick, tough skin that made it harder for teeth to penetrate. Its size alone made it intimidating, up to 9 meters long and weighing around 5 tons. Predators often thought twice before attacking such a giant, especially when it wasn't alone. In groups, these dinosaurs became almost untouchable. The young could hide between adults, and when threatened, the herd could form a circle, plates flashing in the light, tails ready to strike. It was a silent warning to anyone brave enough to test their defenses. Stegosaurus didn't need claws, speed, or sharp teeth. Nature had given it something far better: armor, patience, and the will to survive. In the Jurassic world, danger was never far away. For every herd of peaceful plant eaters, there were predators waiting in the shadows. The greatest of them all was Allosaurus, the top hunter of its age. Allosaurus was fast, smart, and strong. With sharp claws and powerful jaws, it could take down almost anything that crossed its path. To survive, Stegosaurus had to always stay alert. Even the sound of breaking branches or distant footsteps could mean one thing: a hunter was near. The Stegosaurus herd moved carefully across the open plains. Their massive feet pressed deep into the soil. The air was hot, filled with the cries of flying reptiles and the rustling of giant ferns. But then, silence. Birds stopped singing. The forest grew still. The shadow of a predator stretched across the ground. Allosaurus had found them. The attack began suddenly. The predator rushed forward with terrifying speed, jaws wide open. But Stegosaurus was ready. It turned its body sideways, plates flashing in the sunlight, tail swinging like a weapon forged by nature itself. The hunter circled, searching for a weak point. One Stegosaurus, a large adult, stepped forward to protect the herd. It faced the predator head-on. The Allosaurus lunged, aiming for the neck, but the swing of the spiked tail came faster. The sound of impact echoed through the trees. The spikes hit the hunter's leg, leaving deep wounds. The predator roared and backed away, bleeding. Allosaurus wasn't used to such resistance. It circled again, growling. But the herd tightened formation. Each Stegosaurus stood shoulder to shoulder, their tails facing outward. It was a living wall of armor and blades. The standoff didn't last long. The hunter realized the cost of another mistake. One more hit, and it wouldn't walk again. With a final growl, Allosaurus turned and disappeared into the forest, leaving only dust and silence behind. The herd waited. Then slowly they began to move again. The danger had passed, but the memory of the fight stayed. This was life for Stegosaurus, a balance between calm and chaos, between peace and the shadow of death. Every encounter like this reminded them, survival didn't belong to the strongest or the fastest. It belonged to those who could endure. And Stegosaurus was a survivor in every sense of the word. Life for Stegosaurus wasn't only about fighting or surviving. It was also about living in a world filled with other giants. The late Jurassic period was a time of enormous creatures: long-necked Brachiosaurus, heavy Diplodocus, and fast predators like Allosaurus. Among these giants, Stegosaurus played its own quiet role, the armored guardian of the green plains. Stegosaurus lived in groups, often moving slowly from one forest to another in search of food. They didn't eat high leaves like Brachiosaurus. Instead, they preferred low plants, soft ferns, and bushes. Each morning, they would begin their slow march, the sound of their footsteps echoing through the valley like distant thunder. Communication between them was simple but effective. They used low sounds, body movements, and even color changes in their plates to warn or signal each other. When one sensed danger, the rest became alert instantly. The herd worked like one body, each member protecting the others. Young Stegosauruses were small and fragile. Adults often surrounded them, keeping them in the center when traveling or resting. Mothers used their tails not just as weapons but also to guide and protect their young. Every movement in the herd had a purpose. Survival was a team effort. Despite their size, Stegosauruses were gentle with each other. They rarely fought within their kind. Instead, they spent most of their time feeding, resting, or bathing in mud to cool down under the hot Jurassic sun. At night, the world transformed. The calls of distant predators echoed across the land, and the herd would move closer together, plates shining faintly in the moonlight. The adults stood guard, their tails ready for anything that came too close. Living among giants wasn't easy, but Stegosaurus adapted perfectly. Its world was full of danger but also full of balance. Each creature, big or small, had its place. The giant sauropods shaped the forests, the hunters kept populations under control, and the armored guardians kept the peace. Stegosaurus didn't dominate the Jurassic. It simply belonged to it. It was a part of a system that worked for millions of years, until one day, everything began to change. Time never stopped in the Jurassic world. Seasons changed, climates shifted, and the land itself began to transform. For millions of years, the great forests had been home to Stegosaurus and countless other giants. But slowly, things started to change. The air became cooler. The rains didn't come as often. The wide green plains began to dry. Rivers that once flowed strong turned into shallow streams. Food became harder to find, and the giant herds began to move farther every year in search of enough plants to survive. The balance of nature was breaking. New species started to appear, smaller, faster dinosaurs that could adapt to the new conditions better than the old giants. Stegosaurus, with its heavy body and slow pace, was beginning to fall behind. Predators, too, changed. They became smarter, hunting in packs, working together to take down even the strongest defenders. The once powerful tail of Stegosaurus, the weapon that had ruled the plains, was no longer enough. The old world was fading, and a new one was coming. The forests that had protected them were shrinking. The land grew dry and cracked under the sun. Many herds disappeared completely, leaving only footprints that would one day turn to stone. Some scientists believe that volcanic eruptions poisoned the air and water. Others think that the changing plants, less nutritious, harder to digest, made life impossible for the slow-moving herbivores. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear: Stegosaurus was nearing the end of its story. Didn't happen in one day. It took thousands of years. Each generation faced a world a little harsher than the one before. Until, one by one, the herds grew smaller, the calls grew fewer, and the land became quiet again. The age of Stegosaurus, the age of armored guardians, was ending. But their memory would not vanish. Deep in the earth, their bones remained, waiting to tell their story millions of years later. Millions of years after Stegosaurus disappeared, the world changed beyond recognition. The forests that once shook under its steps are gone, replaced by mountains, deserts, and cities. But the story of this dinosaur never truly ended. When humans began to dig into the earth and discover the bones of the past, Stegosaurus became one of the first great discoveries. Its strange shape, the plates, the spikes, the small head, captured people's imagination. It looked like a creature from a dream, or from another world. Scientists studied its fossils to understand how it lived, how it moved, how it defended itself. Artists brought it back to life in paintings, movies, and museums. For children everywhere, it became one of the most loved dinosaurs, not a killer, not a monster, but a symbol of strength and survival. Stegosaurus reminds us that power doesn't always mean speed or aggression. Sometimes it means patience, balance, and protection. It stood its ground, defended its herd, and adapted to the world for millions of years. That's why it earned its title, the Armored Guardian. Even today, its story continues. Paleontologists still find new fossils, learning more about how it lived and why it vanished. Each discovery adds a new chapter to a story that began long before humans existed. In the end, Stegosaurus teaches a lesson that still matters today: that every creature, no matter how strange or slow, has a role in the balance of life. It shows that survival isn't about being the strongest, but about finding harmony with the world around you. And though the earth no longer trembles beneath its feet, the legacy of Stegosaurus remains, written in stone, told through time, and remembered forever as one of nature's greatest survivors. Time moves forward, but the echoes of the past never fade. The giants who once ruled this planet may be gone, but their stories remain, written in stone, hidden beneath the earth, waiting for us to listen. Each fossil, each discovery brings them back for a moment. They remind us how small we are and how great nature can be. Stegosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Brachiosaurus, all of them are gone, yet all of them still live through what they left behind. Their age was one of chaos and beauty, of survival and strength. And even though their footsteps no longer shake the ground, their legacy still shapes the world we walk today. 'Cause the age of giants never truly ended. It lives within the earth, within our imagination, and within the endless curiosity that drives us to uncover the past. The Titans will return, not in flesh but in memory, in story, and in the endless journey of discovery that connects us to them.